What's up, guys? Today we'll be doing lesson 8.4. And 8.4 is properties of rhombuses, rectangles, and squares. A rhombus has 4 properties. It has to have all 4 properties. The first one is going to be, the first one is that a rhombus has to have 4 congruent sides. Here's a picture, an example of a rhombus, and each one has one little stick, one little palito, so they're all congruent. So that's what 4 congruent sides mean. The second one is that diagonals are perpendicular, which means they make 90 degrees. So here's a rhombus, here are the diagonals, and as you can see, they make 90 degrees, they make a right angle. So that's 90, this is 90 right here, this is 90, and that's 90. So inside this rhombus, there are 4 right triangles. Alright, and here I added rules 3 and 4 together. I'm going to do 4 real quick. 4 says opposite angles are congruent. So see the angles over here where D is? They are congruent to the ones over here where B is. That's why they have 2 little arcs. These have 2 little arcs. Over here where A is, they have 1 and 1. Over here where C is, they have 1 and 1. So these are congruent. These are congruent. Now number 3. The diagonals bisect opposite angles. Bisect. Remember, bisect means to cut in half. Cut in half. So the angles are cut in half. So let's say A was 60, each of these is now 30. If D was, 80, then each of these pieces is now 40. That's what it means to bisect. Right? So again, if this was 60 degrees, then this piece here is 30, and that one's 30. Just FYI. Alright, now a rectangle. You know what, I should probably say something over here real quick. On a rhombus, they're just going to say a rhombus, and they're going to assume that you know that a rhombus is going to have every single one of these properties all the single time. It is not a rhombus if one of these is missing. It has to have all 4 properties. That goes for any shape that we're doing today. Alright, back to a rectangle. A rectangle has to have 2 things, 2 rules. First one, it has to have 4 right angles. And let me draw a perfect rectangle real quick. So here's my rectangle. A, B, C, and D. They all have to be 90 degrees, so there's the picture to show it. Number 2 says that the diagonals are all congruent. That means that here are my diagonals. From A to this point here, we'll call it, M. From A to M, it's the same as from M to C, and that's the same as M to B, same from M to D. AM is the same as congruent to MC, which is the same as BM, which is the same as DM. So they're all the same. And then the next shape is a square. That one's special, so a square. A square has to be both a rhombus and a rectangle. So let that sink in. A square is both a rhombus and a rectangle at the same time. What? I know, it's crazy. Well, a rectangle, no, look, that's a rectangle, it's all squished, doesn't look like a square. Well, it's a rectangle because it has to have all 490 degrees, and the diagonals are all congruent, and it has the properties of the rhombus, which is the ones on the we just went over. That's why it's so special. It's a special shape. If that didn't help you memorize it, you look at this Venn diagram. This Venn diagram shows that, well, see, everything is parallelograms. A rhombus, a square, and a rectangle are all parallelograms. Here's the rhombus, the 4 congruent sides, and a rectangle has 4 right angles, and a square is both. A square has 4 congruent sides and 4 right angles. So that might help you visualize it a little better. Alright, let's try this example. Example 1. For any rhombus RSTV, decide whether the statement is always, sometimes true, or sometimes true. So the answer is either always or sometimes. Draw a sketch and explain your reasoning. So let me draw a rhombus real quick. Alright, so I drew it and I already put little palitos to make sure that they're all congruent, and I put the opposite angles are congruent because that's what a rhombus is. I just didn't put the diagonals in because it didn't ask. It says angle S congruent to angle V. S is here, V is here. Well, they're opposite angles. They have to always be congruent. If not, it's not a rhombus. So yeah, always. Always for A. For B, T congruent to V. Well, right here they're not. So then you can't put always, and you're thinking, well, why sometimes? They're not congruent here. Well, in a square, because a square is a rhombus, these two would both be 90. That's why it is sometimes. Right. Example 2. This is a square because they're all the same length and they're all 90 degrees. And this is a square. Let's find x first. Well, x is right here with this side. 4x minus 7, and 2x plus 1 is on this side. And they both have the little one palito. And if they both have the same little palito, that means they are congruent. The same little stick. That's what the symbol means. So 2x plus 1 equals 4x minus 7. Subtract the smaller of the x's, subtract 2x. Add the 1 down. 4 minus 2 is 2x minus 7. What's next? Add 7. 2x equals 1 plus 7 is 8. Divide by 2. And x is 4. So x is 4. Now, here we go, the y. The y is a good question. Well, the y says it goes right here, this little corner only. Not all of it, just this corner right here. And this is a diagonal. This is a diagonal of a square, but it's also a rectangle, remember that. And the rectangle says that these are equal. That doesn't help because that doesn't say how long this is. But remember that a square is a rhombus. And a rhombus says that a diagonal cuts this angle in half. So if it's 90, each piece is 90 divided by 2, which is 45. So 7y plus 3 is 45 because each of these is 45. So 7y plus 3 is equal to 45. Now, you couldn't solve that question unless you knew the properties of the rhombus and you knew that a square is a rhombus. So you gotta know those properties. Subtract 3, subtract 3. 7y equals 42 divided by 7. 42 divided by 7 is 6. Next example. Example 3. Here's example 3. Alright, so we got a shape. Is it a parallelogram or a rhombus? More likely both. So let's go after x first. So I want to have x equals and y equals. Now here the angle, here, this is 2x minus 1, and that's 127. Now if the 127 were right here, then these would be opposite, because they're on opposite sides of each other, but they're not opposite. But S and T, they're not opposite, they are consecutive angles. And just like parallelograms, because a rhombus is a parallelogram, these two, when you add them, they have to equal 180. Remember, if the 127 were right here, you would put them equal to each other. But since it's over here, they're supplementary. So 2x minus 1 plus 127 equals 180. And combine this, negative 1 plus 127. That is 126 equals 180. Subtract the 126. 180 minus 126 is 54. Divided by 2. And x is 27. Now the y. And here it is. 3y plus 7 has one little stick. 6y minus 5 has one little stick. Since they both have the same symbol, that means they are equal. So 6y minus 5 is equal to 3y plus 7. Subtract the smaller of the y's, which is 3. 6 minus 3 is 3y minus 5 is equal to 7. Then you get rid of the 5, which is it's negative, so you put plus. Seven plus 5 is 12. And now we divide each one by 3. That is y equals 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4. X is 27, y is 4. Now, there are other examples I could go over, but there's really, I can't go over any example without giving you answers, and I'm not going to give you the answer. The work is fairly simple that you have to go over tomorrow, as long as you know these rules. What a rhombus has, or yeah, what it has to be, it has to have those 4 properties. It might ask you about the diagonals, it might ask you about angles, or it might ask you about a rectangle, and what about their properties, or about a square. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Bring your notes tomorrow. Laters.